Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Corser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow.
And welcome into the program, ladies and gentlemen. This is Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids, resource for a common sense approach to planning. The team from Cornerstone Retirement Partners, founder and CEO, certified financial planner, CFP Ron Corser, leading the way and guiding us on your course to retirement each and every week. Ron, always a pleasure, especially as we are getting into the holiday season. You know, a lot has gone on, but we all still have very much to be thankful for. We're going to give some great tips and tidbits and talk about what we are going to be doing and planning for the holidays here on today's program, keeping it light and upbeat as much as possible.
It is a good time, and we do have a lot to be thankful for. I read a quote a while back that said, you know what, if you're not thankful for what you have, you'll never be grateful for what you're going to get. And that probably is some truth there. You know, everybody has a certain amount of good stuff in their life, whether it's physical or emotional, that they go through. I know in our family, since this is kind of a Thanksgiving theme, you know, what are the memories that I have when I think about Thanksgiving? In my family, extended family and everything, when my mom and dad and everybody was alive, Thanksgiving used to be one of those rare days where my somewhat dysfunctional family got together and everybody was happy. It was always a time to be happy and kind to one another and say nice things and, you know, not go into negative territory. And a couple things that were really positive to me. Turkey, Thanksgiving Day turkey is my single most favorite meal. I still think if people say, what's your favorite meal? It's a struggle between barbecued spare ribs and turkey, and I still choose turkey. But one of the things I remember, and my mouth is starting to water now remembering it, is my stepdad was the absolute greatest gravy chef in the whole world. I still have not figured out how to make a good gravy, but he could make gravy to just knock your socks off. So when we would get together in this wonderful day, and usually it many times is at my mom's house, the house where I was born and raised and where my brother was born, we have a whole bunch of people down there in the basement, and it was fun. And when I think more about it, because this was such a positive time in my life, and I remember the last year, and it was, this is a little bit bittersweet, but it's a memory. My mom died in October, just before Thanksgiving. And my fervent wish when I used to pray, I knew she was dying, and we were good with that. It was a blessed time. You know, interestingly, I remember listening to a minister friend of mine who said he spent the last 6 months of his life with his dad, the last 6 months of his dad's life. And he said it was one of the most blessed times he ever had. And I never understood that. I never did until I went through that with my mom. She was the most important person in my life. And we went through actually the last couple of years with her, but the last 6 months were incredibly emotional. But I look back at it, what a blessing God laid on me. But she died in October 4th. And my wish was that we could have just one more Thanksgiving with her. And that didn't happen. But what we did do is my stepdad was also in his last days there. So we all got together that morning, my brother and I, and my wife Nancy and his wife, and we cooked Thanksgiving Day dinner for him. And so there were some grandkids over there, and it was a blessed, one of those bittersweet memories, but it really was a good memory. It really was. So those are the memories I have, you know, they're incredibly good and happy times, and then a kind of a bittersweet one, but it was still a really good blessing, and I remember it fondly.
While she was and is certainly missed, Ron, I'm sure, by your family, I bet that that holiday, especially, more positive memories and laughter about everything that she was and did and meant to y'all were shared with the family, and maybe some stories that even members of the family maybe had not been there for or did not know were shared during that time. And I think that is really what that Thanksgiving holiday is all about. We sit down, we break bread, we show those that we care about that are here love, and we remember those fondly that maybe can't share it with us.
Yeah, you just kind of jogged my memory. I have an aunt, she's still alive, she's about 86, 87. And every once in a while we would change places for Thanksgiving dinner. And whenever it was supposed to be held at my aunt's house, everybody, including her kids, just kind of held their breath. I love my aunt, but this was the only woman who could mess up a Thanksgiving Day turkey. I mean, and everybody agreed.
I beg to differ, but
okay. Everybody, even her kids, would say, "Oh man, Mom's cooking turkey. This is not going to be good," and we just kind of faked it. But I forgot all about that. I think that's a nice memory too. Makes me smile. But she's still alive, and I think she every once in a while gets this hankering to cook a turkey, but her kids talk her out of it, and they go somewhere else for Thanksgiving. So there's still some good memories there for a guy like me.
Well, I know that we've got an interesting one planned where all the members of the family are going to gather at a house. It's a big house, lots of space, but I am only hoping it's a big enough space for all of the differences of opinions that we have in my family. I have seen some of the videos of overturned tables and food fights, and I don't think that's anything that's going to happen in my family. But this is a time, and it's been an interesting time, Ron, with everything that's been going on in the world and the supply chain shortages. Just trying to make this year happen successfully has been a challenge for many. So today, going to be talking about a little bit of a financial twist and perspective on preparing for the holidays and then preparing for retirement, as we always do on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to remind you as we get going here on the show, if you've got questions or concerns about your planning, if topics get brought up around the holiday table on a financial nature, there's a resource for you here at Cornerstone Retirement Partners with Ron Corser. All you need to do is mention this number or give a call to this number yourself, and you can get answers and direction. 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Ron, I'm sure you've got some plans to get together with your family this holiday, as you did so many before.
Yeah, we do, and it's interesting. In our family, my children, They look at the world around them a little differently than I do. I tend to live without a lot of fear. I don't know if that's because I don't understand the gravity of the situation, or if, I just say, things are going to be what they're going to be. How are we going to make the best of them? So we will get together in some fashion, and I look forward to it. One of the things that's interesting when it comes to the world around us and the impact that perhaps getting together with divergent viewpoints of the world, can I say it that way, is that in my family, it's a good news, bad news for me. I'm considered the crazy. I'm the Jesus freak.
If you don't have one in your family, you are the one.
I looked around. I didn't know who the crazy one was, so it was me. I'm considered by a lot of my family members, I'm the crazy Jesus freak, and you got to be careful with Uncle Ron because I rarely express my thoughts. So I doubt that we'll have any controversy around the Thanksgiving Day table. But if it happens, I'm always one of those guys that say, let's just talk about it. But it probably won't happen, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but it is what it is, so to speak. So we'll. What can we do? We can focus on the Detroit Lions, which may be more painful than anything else in the world. Or we can talk about the weather or something. I'm not sure, but we'll muddle through it and get through it. The fact is, I still dearly love my family, my children, the grandchildren, and
And there's always hockey, Ron. So I mean,
and the Red Wings are doing a little better. So this could be a better season. Yeah. And there's hope for the Tigers next year. How much, I don't know. So we'll get through it somehow. I dearly love my kids and my grandkids. It's a pleasure to always be around them and see them. They always amaze me. I think, wow, was I like that when I was 7 or 8? Was that perceptive? I think I was clueless when I was 7 or 8, but they seem to be more tuned into what's going on around them. And interestingly, they can carry on great conversations. And I think when I was 7, I could maybe put 3 words together or something like that. So it'll be fun. But one of the things that this whole world, we call it craziness or uniqueness or whatever you want to call it, has done, is it's caused everybody to take another look at their future, particularly their financial future. We get this a lot with our clients when we do our periodic reviews, our regular reviews with them. They want to know basically 2 things. How's my money doing? And am I going to be all right? And it's that second question, am I going to be all right? That's the most important question to get an answer to. Am I going to be all right? Because when you start to dig and ask questions, it's got a lot to do with your financial future, but it has a lot to do too with other things in your life. So the question, am I going to be all right, is a really important question for us to talk with our clients every time we do a review, particularly going into the year end, because there's some things we talk about all the time. For example, make sure you take the required minimum distribution. And we'll talk more about this in today's program. Is it appropriate to think about doing some tax harvesting in some of our accounts? What about a Roth conversion? There are things we can still do this late in the year that might make a big difference, not only in how the year ends, but going forward in the next few years. So here's what I'll offer to everybody listening to today's program. That key question, am I going to be all right? If you've asked yourself that question and you don't have a really good answer yet, please give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We can go through a process that'll help you get some clarity and maybe an answer to that. Am I going to be all right? It's the most important question I think we can ask ourselves going forward, given all the craziness around us, but also the fact that a lot of people have really struggled with, should I retire now if they still have a job? Some of our clients have been let go because the company's changed, and others, they're kind of holding on and hanging on, and they don't know quite what to do. So the question is, am I going to be all right? Ladies and gentlemen, if that question has gone through your mind, when you lay your head down on the bed at night, give us a call, 616-301-2581. Let us help you find the answer to the question, am I going to be all right?
616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. One of the most fundamental questions when it comes to our financial well-being, the foundation that we have put in place. And that foundation, ladies and gentlemen, does take careful planning and layering. And you want to have a solid foundation that you can be confident in your answer to that question and know that you've done the best things to build that foundation. The team at Cornerstone Retirement Partners, there as your resource. They are here to help and assist. Pick up the phone, give them a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Don't go anywhere. We've got some tips for those that may have a changing retirement timeline. We've got some tips on how to avoid costly financial mistakes, some of the tax implications of the laws and proposals that are out there. We'll talk about those, as well as some of those other conversations around the table to keep things light and positive at your family gathering. We'll be right back with more with certified financial planner, CFP Ron Corser, here on Your Course to Retirement in just a moment. Great time for you to place that call, 616-301-2581. We'll be right back.
Can you hear that? That's the sound of you setting off on new adventures on the trip of a lifetime that you always dreamed you'd take in your retirement. You worked hard to be able to enjoy these kinds of experiences, and now you can. In fact, you can even enjoy a few upgrades and extras along the way. A big part of this is due to the confidence you feel in the careful planning and mapping out of your retirement with your fiduciary team at Cornerstone Retirement Partners. By sitting down with Ron, Nolan, and the team at Cornerstone Retirement Partners, you created your plan and carefully looked at your income, investments, taxes, health care plan, and it looks like you'll even have a little left over to leave a positive legacy for your loved ones. Now that's enjoying retirement with confidence. For your complimentary planning review and written retirement income map, set up a time to speak with Cornerstone Retirement Partners at 616-301-2581. That's 616-301-2581. Or visit cornerstone-rp.com for your complimentary investment analysis and retirement planning session.
Welcome back to Your Course to Retirement. CFP Ron Courser here with us, president and founder of Cornerstone Retirement Partners, Grand Rapids, surrounding area, savers and investors, your resource for a common sense approach to planning. If you've got questions or concerns, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call. For radio show listeners, for podcast viewers, they waive all fees, costs associated with an initial planning review, strategy session, and plan design. 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Ron, we were talking a little bit about the holidays and how this crazy world around us has forced many to really reevaluate their plans for the future and their retirement timeline. Many out there are evaluating things and they like the stay at home. They have enjoyed the additional time that we've had with family, and they're wanting to know how to retire maybe a little earlier. We've got a list of some steps to take to help those that share that goal. Number one, determine what kind of lifestyle you want in retirement. Now, this seems common sense. I want the lifestyle that I have now to continue, but actually retirement itself is a different type of lifestyle.
You know, that's a great question, because we always ask our clients, well, what does that retirement life look like? And you get a wide variety of answers. Just about everybody has their own viewpoint of it. I think sometimes the most honest answer is, I'm not going to have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning anymore, and I can go and do things that I want to do. But that answer is a good one. It really is, but it needs more clarity, so to speak. Because one of the most difficult things in retirement is to figure out, you know, maybe you've been working for 45 years, every day. That's all we've done. That's all we know. So all of a sudden to not work it seems like it's an easy jump into the shallow end of the pool. But a lot of times it's a deep dive into the deep end of the pool, so to speak. And man, if you can't swim real well, you could be in trouble. So one of the things that we try to help folks get through is, let's talk about, and I'm not much into that visual thing, but let's talk about some of the things that are going to be available to you in retirement, and are you going to take advantage of those? Because figuring out your lifestyle is important. Now, financially, nobody wants to go backwards in terms of maintaining what they have right now. The issue is going to be, okay, if when you remove work, going 9 to 5, whatever you've been doing, what do you put into that hole? And sometimes I get this question after somebody retired, and we'll do our semi-annual review with them, and I say, how you doing? And said, man, I'm more busy now than I ever was in my whole life. I don't understand what I did before.
Yep.
That happens. That really happens. And I tell people that's a good thing to have happen, because you're going to have to just sort through stuff, and there's always going to be something to do.
Well, here's the key. They're doing what they want to do more often than what they had to do previously. They've just got so many things they want to do. They're filling their time with it.
They are. And some of them are, you know, spending more time with grandbabies and grandchildren, either because they can or out of necessity. And so things like that happen. But the other part is, and this has happened too on occasion, where folks have come in after about 6 months and said, man, I'm bored out of my mind. I got to find something else to do. And that's when we sit back and just say, well, let's talk about some of the things you'd like to do. Because sometimes the things they like to do, the real question is, can I afford it? Can I afford it? Do I have to do it? Can I afford it? So ladies and gentlemen, it's not easy. It's not hard. It's just what is when you're getting towards retirement, to say, what am I going to do? So if you want a little help, we'll try to help you figure out what you're going to do. Give us a call at 616-301-2581. 2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstoneretirementpartners-rp.com. And just put your
www.
information in there and we'll make contact with you. We're not psychiatrists. We don't do couch jobs on people, but we can help sort through perhaps some of the things that are kind of on the front part of your mind that you need some clarity with.
And that website is www.cornerstone-rp.com, cornerstone-rp.com. Ron, as you're talking about helping people envision what they want for retirement, part of that process, I know a big part, step 2, create a mock retirement budget. This is the spending plan, the written retirement income plan that you talk about being such a vital component of determining your reasonable retirement outcome and expectations.
It is. And I think in my own opinion, I've been doing this for almost 27 years now. I think creating that spending plan is the single most important thing people have to do before retiring. Creating that spending plan. And that spending plan is, all right, where are my all bills? What do I got to pay? What do I want to do? Do I know where every dollar is going to come into my checkbook every end of the month or beginning of the month, whenever I choose it? What's my strategy for taking Social Security? Do I have a pension? What's the strategy for that? That spending plan is the most important. Here's why. Let's go back to your situation, Peter. You've got $10 million saved up in the bank. You've done really good. And you asked me a couple times, Ron, can I retire? My question to you is, well, you've got $10 million. Welcome. Good job. How much money do you need every year coming in as income to maintain your lifestyle? What's your spending budget, so to speak? And you tell me it's $1 million. Well, I've got good news and bad news for you. The good news is you've saved a lot of money. The bad news is you don't have enough income in retirement to retire because your lifestyle requires $1 million. And knowing you, you're not willing to shave that even by a dime. So you like living large. The spending plan is the whole key. It's the most simple yet the most important piece of what we do in retirement planning for our clients. So ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have a spending plan or you're concerned about how to get one, we can help you with this, because a lot of times people come in and they say, I think I've saved a lot of money. I just don't know how to take money out of our accounts. I don't know what to do. And we create a spending plan for each and individual person. So give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Don't be like Peter, who thinks he's got enough money to last him forever, because he doesn't. Give us a call, 616-301-2581. We will help craft a spending plan that fits you. It'll be mostly what you want to have happen, but we'll put some numbers on it and some guardrails on it so that it'll be workable and will be successful for you in retirement.
I'm reviewing the mock retirement budget here, Ron, and I think that I can shave it down to $758,000 a year. So should be
Lord.
Just fine.
Praise the Lord, man. Yeah. That's good news.
In honesty, though, and without kidding, your answer to that question and the way that you approached it with my hypothetical, unreal $10 million, it doesn't seem that it indicates that that's what's needed necessarily for retirement success. You want to deal with those that have realistic expectations of what they can generate in retirement and what is required to maintain that lifestyle, whether that's 500,000, a million, 10 million, whatever the number is. Knowing that and planning for it is the key there. So it's not that that's the number that's required. That I remember the magic green retirement number floating over people's heads in that old commercial. It's not that it necessarily has to be $2 million for each one of your clients. They just need to have a spending plan and understand what that number is, what it takes to get there. And that's why another one of the important steps for retiring early is pour everything that you can into those retirement accounts. And especially in the last 10 to 15 years of retirement, we have some great opportunities to do some catch up if we do find ourselves a little behind.
We can. You can add, if you're over 50, you get a catch up provision on what you can put away in your 401k plan from $19,500 as an employee set aside to $26,000. That's important. You can do the same thing with IRAs, either a regular IRA or a Roth IRA. If you're over 50, you can add $1,000 to it and put away $7,000 a year. And here's an important thing that sometimes is overlooked by people. Just because you have a 401k plan or a 403b plan, depending on what your income is, you can still put away money in an IRA or in a Roth IRA going forward. And that's really important to know and to try to incorporate that strategy, the IRA strategy, either more tax deductible stuff or Roth IRA, which is after tax money, into your savings plan for the future, because they both serve somewhat of a different purpose. But it's very important to keep putting money away in places that you have some access to if you're over 50 or and still 60 and still working. But it's important to say, but here's another little caveat. Having minimal amounts or zero debt when you retire is absolutely a key to successful retirement. Sometimes that's difficult for people to do because they have a mortgage that they're still dealing with, and they have to make a decision. Well, do I take money out of an IRA or 401k to pay down the mortgage? That just increases my taxable income. For an answer to that strategy, there is no one size fits all. It really gets down to individuals' current income and tax situation and how much they saved. So doing two things, having an income plan to go with the spending plan and trying to save as much as you can, and at the same time, reduce as much as the debt that you have, so that on the day you actually walk away and retire, in a perfect world, you'd have zero debt other than monthly credit card bills and things like that. But if that's not possible, it still has to be managed. And we can help with that. That's what we do with creating an income plan that matches your spending plan. So if some of this is making sense, or some of this is saying, you know, I'd like to have that kind of work done for me. I need a spending plan. I need an income plan. Give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Cornerstone Retirement Partners, we've been around for 27 years. We're good at what we do with this kind of planning. So give us a call, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com.
Cornerstone-rp.com, cornerstone-rp.com, the website. You can also give a call, 616-301-2581. Just for the sake of time, running through a couple more of these. Meeting regularly with a financial advisor can certainly be beneficial if you have a goal or a dream to retire, or even retire early, especially if you've got a dream to retire early. Revisit that retirement dream, redefine it. Are you still on the same page with your spouse about expectations for lifestyle? Consider your retirement location. Having a paid off house would certainly be a benefit. If you are considering retiring early, the types of retirement accounts that you have set up, your ability to access money and funds are going to be important. Here's an interesting one. Decide whether you'll work or not. And we talk about retirement thinking it's about the time when we won't work, but many people are now finding moonlight second careers during their retirement years. Again, on their schedule, doing more of what they want to do rather than what they had to do. And of course, determining how to manage income streams throughout retirement is going to be an important factor as well. All of those and more, the team from Cornerstone Retirement Partners can help with. Certified Financial Planner, CFP, Ron Corser here on the program each and every week, offering guidance, offering assistance and help. 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or online, cornerstone-rp.com, cornerstone-rp.com. A helpful chat feature right there on the website as well. If you'd like to talk with them online, talk with them now, connect with them, cornerstone-rp.com. We do have to take another quick break. We'll continue with the second half of Your Course to Retirement and your guide, Ron Corser, in just a moment.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Corser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow. Visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
And welcome back into the program. This is your Course to Retirement. Grand Rapids, your resource for a common sense approach to planning, helping to clarify the financial and the economic world. The team from Cornerstone Retirement Partners. With us today, we have CEO and founder Ron Corser, a certified financial planner, your CFP resource for planning help and assistance. If you've got questions, if you'd like to have a little clarity in this complicated financial world, give them a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Ron, we are talking about the holidays, about Thanksgiving, about changing financial and retirement timelines. Another important factor is all of the changes that we are seeing or that are being proposed up in Washington for us. And we've got a list of a few of the tax implications of some of these laws that, at least as of the recording of this program, are, for right now, simply proposals, and we don't know how fast they'll move on these or if they'll move at all, but some of these do have some serious implications and at least hint to the direction that they are intending to move and some of the items on the agenda for them to address in Washington.
Yeah, when I really think about Washington, D.C. and what's going on down there, the word psychopath comes into my frame of reference, but I guess I'll just abstain from that right now. They're proposing a lot of things because they want to spend a lot of money that supposedly is going to benefit us. You know, a lot of us may have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. We know that at some point in time, you can't continue to spend and not figure out how you're going to pay for some of these things. So there's a lot of stuff being kicked around down there. It's all designed to generate additional tax revenue. That doesn't mean it's going to help us. I'm not making a political comment or just common sense. Just because they tell us they're trying to help us doesn't mean they're going to. So there's a couple things that are going on up there, and it's really important to understand how taxes and tax law works in America. In 1913, we passed a law. It really became an amendment that says Congress can have taxes. There's going to be an income tax. It was done under Woodrow Wilson's purview. And at that time, it was only going to tax people, I think, that made more than $4,000 a year, and then there'd be 3%. It was not going to tax anybody else. Well, look what's happened over the last 100 years. That's always come down to it. What's really important for everybody listening to today's program to understand is this, is that the real money in America is not with those evil, rich 1%ers that everybody likes to yell at and scream at. If we just took their money, forget about taxing their money, if we just took their money, we don't have enough money coming from that to pay for the bills for 1 year in our government. You know, all the movie stars, Warren Buffett, all those just take their money. We don't have enough to run our government for a year. But the big money is in the middle class. The big money is in IRAs, 401ks, those kinds of accounts. There's about, depending on who you talk to, between 23 and $28 trillion there. That's where the big money is. That's where taxes over time have to come to bear, because that's where the money is. The wealthy 1%ers can always figure out how to do things legally to avoid paying tax. There's no law that says you should pay more tax than you're legally required. But it's the middle class that gets hammered with some of these things. So some of the things that they're talking about. Number one, there was one that just came out recently that said, let's tax the unrealized capital gains from all these rich billionaires. What is a capital gain? Well, you buy a stock for $10 and it appreciates in value to $12. The difference between what you paid for that stock and its value now is called an unrealized capital gain, meaning you haven't realized the profit. Now, if you sell that stock, you have a $2 profit, which is a $2 capital gain. If it's in an IRA account, it doesn't make much difference what happens. But if it's in a taxable brokerage account, it makes a huge difference. So one of the rules that these people want to do is they want to tax the unrealized gains, because billionaires may have $5 billion in an investment account that's appreciated in value, and they put 500,000 in, and now it's worth $5 billion. That's a lot of capital gains to tax. But here's the real The real problem is that they're going to figure out a way to get around this. What's going to happen is this is going to potentially land right on us in the middle class. So that's one thing that's going on. Whether it'll pass, be put in a law, I don't know. A second thing that's going on is they're going to try to limit what you can put in IRAs. And that's because of our best friend, Peter Thiel. You know, he bought some PayPal stock for less than
less than a penny. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's worth $5 billion and everybody's up in arms about it. You know, it's one guy. It's one guy. Why are we bent out of shape about it? I don't know. But they want to limit what kind of money people can put in an IRA. Now, here's the real crazy part. They want to limit it. If you make more than $450,000 a year, you can't contribute to an IRA. Now, what's the most money you can put in an IRA in a given year if you're over 50? $7,000. Do you really think somebody who has a $5 billion IRA is going to be really sweating the small stuff because he can't make a $7,000 contribution? And that contribution is even limited if he has another retirement plan. It's limited by income. So this is part of the insanity. But they're thinking about doing it. But ultimately, it's going to come down to the middle class. It's just my opinion, because that's where the big money is. So that's one of the things they're talking about.
Ron, as I understand it, though, that provision on income is actually before deductions, even itemized deductions. So the mom and pop small business may have a top line revenue that eliminates them from being able to make those kind of retirement contributions, when in actuality, after they pay out expenses, payroll, rent, overhead, equipment, and those kind of things, their actual income may be very, very much lower than those limits. But that's not the number that matters with these proposed changes. And that really puts small business owners kind of in a retirement planning bind, potentially.
It's almost a lie what they're doing. And I know I could be hauled into kangaroo court for what I just said. But it ultimately does come down upon the middle class. It always, always does. And so it's going to limit what we can do as savers down the road if this thing passes, because gravity will grab a hold of it and bring it down to the middle class where all the money is, and it'll harm us. Now, there is one good thing that's come out of this, and I was really amazed at that, and that concerns Roth IRAs. So let me stop right here and say, ladies and gentlemen, I know we're talking about stuff that perhaps doesn't apply to us now, but it may down the road. If you want to have a little more in-depth conversation about these things, I just got off with a 2-day workshop seminar with Ed Slott. He's the premier IRA guy in the whole world. He's the go-to guy when it comes to all things IRAs, tax-deferred accounts. And we spent a lot of time talking about the what ifs about a lot of these things, the Secure Act and everything. So those of you who are interested, give me a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We can talk about some of the specifics and what may or may not land on you or have an impact on your retirement savings. So it's 616-301-2581. Now for the semi-good news. You know, when we talk with clients and potential clients about Roth accounts, Roth IRA accounts, it's just money that it's already been taxed. You put it into a Roth, it grows tax deferred. You can invest it just like any other IRA, but the money comes out tax free as long as you pay attention to a couple simple rules. One of the questions I get a lot is, well, they're going to change the rules on Roth accounts. And it's always been my opinion that, no, they're not going to do that. They're crazy, but they're not stupid. When you do a Roth conversion, for example, that generates more tax revenue for them. So one of the things buried in this account, it's really interesting, is they're going to pretend to put an end to Roth accounts down the road. Meaning there's going to come a time where you can't have one. If you already have one, fine, use it. But if you want a new one and you don't have one, you can't. But here's the interesting thing. They've put it in there, and it's not going to take effect until December 31, 2032. That's 10 years from now. So think about this. What they're saying is that, yeah, we hate Roth accounts. We're going to change them, but we're not going to do it for 10 years. So number one, they finally admitted that Roth accounts are pretty good accounts for individual investors. And they like them because every time you take money out of your IRA and put it into a Roth IRA, that generates tax revenue. So they've just announced, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the United States, you have 10 years to put as much money away into Roth accounts as you can possibly do, either by depositing money into it or by converting money. Convert as much as you want. We love it. You've got 10 years to do it. That's the first time the government, in my point of view, has ever said, yeah, we really like these accounts and we want you to do more of it. So they're not going to change it, ladies and gentlemen, because it's a source of tax revenue which they're lusting after. So if you want to know more about how a Roth account might work in your portfolio, if you don't have one, or even if you do have one and you want to have more clarity on how to do Roth conversions, give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We can help you with, number one, does a Roth strategy make sense for you? If you have it now, does more make sense? If you don't have it, does some make sense? But importantly, we're not CPAs, but we have the software to do a tax analysis to see how much you could convert that makes sense to you at different tax brackets. It's really eye-opening information that we provide, and it gives you clarity as to what you can or cannot do that makes sense with doing Roth conversions. So give us a call if this is important to you, or you think it may be important to you, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com.
Yeah, as much noise is being made over these proposals, Ron, I don't think at the bottom line they'll affect all of that many people. But the emphasis is and should be and has always been on proactive tax planning and making sure that we get to keep as much of what we work so hard to save and build during our lifetime. I actually think that the laws a couple years ago, the Secure Act from 2020, made much greater impact on most average everyday worker and saver and retirees plans with the end of the stretch IRA. A lot of plans, a lot of trusts that had been put in place needed to be completely redone and revisited. A lot of intentions for how IRAs would be distributed in legacy after our passing to our family needs to be redone. So we need to understand the value of the Roth and that there may be a window where that is closing at some point in the future, but still plenty of time. We need to understand that tax rates are going up in just a few short years. 2026, we will be paying higher taxes kind of across the board. We need to understand that if we had a plan done just a few short years ago before the passing of the Secure Act, and any part of that had to do with the legacy of tax deferred accounts and IRAs, that we need to revisit those plans. All things that are important, ladies and gentlemen, for you to keep in mind. We'll come back and talk about some other important factors, maybe hit on a few of those in a little bit more detail here with Ron Corser on Your Course to Retirement. If you've got questions or concerns, if you'd like to get a plan put together or review your current plan, Ron and the team from Cornerstone Retirement Partners waive all costs and expenses. There are no fees for that initial planning review, strategy section, review of your current plan, construction of a plan for you. Give a call now, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go online, cornerstone-rp.com, cornerstone-rp.com. We'll be right back.
Can you hear that? That's the sound of you setting off on new adventures on the trip of a lifetime that you always dreamed you'd take in your retirement. You worked hard to be able to enjoy these kinds of experiences, and now you can. In fact, you can even enjoy a few upgrades and extras along the way. A big part of this is due to the confidence you feel in the careful planning and mapping out of your retirement with your fiduciary team at Cornerstone Retirement Partners. By sitting down with Ron, Nolan, and the team at Cornerstone Retirement Partners, you created your plan and carefully looked at your income, investments, taxes, health care plan, and it looks like you'll even have a little left over to leave a positive legacy for your loved ones. Now that's enjoying retirement with confidence. For your complimentary planning review and written retirement income map, set up a time to speak with Cornerstone Retirement Partners. at 616-301-2581. That's 616-301-2581. Or visit cornerstone-rp.com for your complimentary investment analysis and retirement planning session.
And welcome back to Your Course to Retirement, the home stretch. We are in our Thanksgiving mode here. We're talking about some positive things that you can be doing, talking about, discussing around the holiday table to be of benefit to that thankful holiday spirit, and talking about them from a financial and retirement planning perspective, as we do each and every week here on the program. Now, Ron, the Secure Act was passed just a few short years ago. It really made a lot of changes to the way that generational wealth would be passed, especially with tax-deferred accounts. And I mentioned that before the end of the last segment. We thought we'd talk a little bit more about it here in this segment. To sort of recap and summarize, the main difference is previous, we could stretch tax deferral for up to 3 generations. It was known as the stretch IRA. Today, there is no more stretch IRA. The government did away with that. Now they require that any inherited tax-deferred retirement account be liquidated within a 10-year period. So there's no longer any RMDs for beneficiary recipients, except for one total 100% RMD in that final 10th year. That's a big change, and it really changes the way a lot of people planned for wealth distribution after their passing.
And there's a caveat here. So let's say that a husband and wife have IRAs, and the husband dies. The wife can, if she's under 59 and a half, can become a beneficiary. And when she gets past that 59 and a half, can become the owner. And most of the time that makes sense. The spouse inheriting an IRA still has the stretch. The difficulty becomes what are non-spousal beneficiaries, with certain exceptions, children under 18, people who have chronic illnesses and things like that. There is no stretch opportunity. So when a child now inherits an IRA, if they don't qualify for some of these other little niche provisions, they have 10 years in which to empty that IRA. They can do it on the first day, they can do it on the 10th day, or they can do it day by day for 10 years, but it has to be emptied. Now, that's only for people who died and left a non-spouse beneficiary. They died in 2020. Anybody who died, whose parents died in 2019 and left them an IRA, they still have the stretch ability. And they do have to take out required distributions every year for it, just like nothing has changed. It's only starting in 2020 that this rule applies. Now, there's also something that has come about, and Ed Slott talks a lot about this, and I'm part of his Master Elite Advisor group. Is sometimes now with the rule changes with the Secure Act, in a lot of instances, the best way to leave an IRA is not to pass through your trust. That doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that the cleanest, easiest way to pass an IRA, tax-deferred money, to children and grandchildren, if you will, is by naming them directly on the beneficiary document and not going through the trust. There's a lot of reasons for it. I could probably get into a giant argument with a lot of estate planning attorneys. A lot of people say, well, my husband will inherit my IRA, and then if we both die, we'll just pass it through the trust. We've been taught to believe that, but the Secure Act has changed some of that. It's a little more difficult and a little messier at times. So what we've started to do more and more is encourage people to leave the IRA to real people, or if you want to leave part of it to a charity, you can do that too, and leave other assets to pass through your trust. It's just a little part. I never want to argue with a lawyer. You know, I've always told people there are two people and financial advisors should never argue with. One is your lawyer and the other is your CPA. You'll do exactly what those guys tell you to do. And I'm good with that. I really am. It's not like leaving everything through your trust is the worst thing in the world. It's just that there's simpler and more clean solutions.
Ron, oftentimes the trust is put in place because there is some desire to have ongoing control or limitations. And a lot of trusts prior to 2019 or before were structured in a way where the beneficiaries could only receive the RMD, the required distribution amount, as a form of limiting their ability to be spendthrifts or blowing the money, quite frankly. Well, now the way things are with the structure of the law, there are no required minimum distributions except for that one final 10th year 100% RMD requirement. So if that trust was formulated with that desire to control access, to limit the access to the money, what ends up happening with these new laws is exactly what was intended to be avoided. That the person gets 100% of the money in the 10th year. And so just these are all reasons why the planning process is really never final, Ron. It is an ongoing process. That's one of the main reasons why you are there and continue to provide clients of Cornerstone Retirement Partners that ongoing service and regular reviews that you do.
Yeah, 80% of what happens in life is pretty ordinary. It really is. It's not that difficult. It's that 20% that pops up that can create enormous problems. What are kind of problems? People name the wrong people as beneficiaries. They don't understand the 5-year clock on Roth conversions. They don't understand when you do a spousal rollover, what are the provisions? What does it mean to do that? They don't understand when you inherit an IRA, you can't change the character of an inherited IRA. When you inherit an IRA, it comes from mom and dad or whatever IRA. It always remains an inherited IRA. You can't roll that over into a Roth because it becomes a full distribution. And people have made those kinds of mistakes. And it's that's the part where we can really be of help to people. I tell people, the financial world is a pretty complicated maze, if you will. And it's done on purpose, I think, sometimes. I need to know a lot. My partner, Nolan, needs to know a lot about these rules. But the really wonderful thing is we don't have to know everything. We just have to know people who know everything so that we can get absolutely great, honest, perfect advice on any situation regarding a retirement plan. That's why our affiliation with Ed Slott is so crucial to what we do. I know a lot about that. I mean, we have to sit through 2-day sessions with him twice a year to be trained, and we have to take tests to pass to make sure we understand it. But it's very easy for us to say, you know what, let's contact. I've even had conversations directly with Ed or his, and always with his staff. Here's the situation with this particular client. This is what I think I know, but tell me for sure so we don't make mistakes, so you don't get bad information. You don't end up with a terrible situation, tax bill or things like that. It's really important. We know a lot, but we know people who know everything about certain things, and that's what's key. That's how we can be a great service to people. So if going through this kind of minefield of retirement planning, of beneficiary planning, of legacy planning is important to you, give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, and we'll help you. Just put your information in there and we will help you. It's what we do to help people. So give us a call.
Well, again, that's 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We're ramping up right here into the midst of the major holiday seasons, ladies and gentlemen. This may look and feel like a little bit of a different year. Time to reflect on all that we are thankful for and remember what's really important, though. And having a good, solid financial foundation can really help you out in reflecting and remembering what's important. And maybe we can do a little bit more to keep the conversation around the dinner table light, talking about favorite recipes, favorite holiday memories, goals for the future, some end of year to-dos, priorities and resolutions, some games, talking a little bit about the shopping. That might also look a little different this year, but all things that can keep the spirits uplifted and bright and the conversation light. Ron, we know that you deal with a very serious topic and helping people feel confident about their financial outlook and financial futures, and having that plan so critical for that to all the other aspects of enjoying not only the holidays, but of everyday life and certainly of retirement.
Yeah, and I just want to ask people to remember this is Thanksgiving. And believe it or not, I think all of us have something to be thankful for. And when it comes to our country, this is what I feel and think, ladies and gentlemen. America is still the greatest country on earth. Do we have problems? Oh boy, all you got to do is turn on TV or kind of check your emails and you'll see that we have major problems. But fundamentally, the American people are really decent, good people, fundamentally. We have a government that's kind of gone off the rails. I think we'll be able to one day bring it back, get it lined up properly. But don't forget that we still live in the best country in the world. If this wasn't the best country in the world, we wouldn't have millions of people wanting to come to it. Nobody's trying to get into Zimbabwe, to my point of view. So give thanks to the living God who created us, who's given us this blessing. Things aren't perfect. They probably never will be perfect, but we can always strive for perfection to make sure that everybody in this country has equal opportunity, is cared for, genuinely valued, and that things, I believe, one day will get better. It doesn't look like it right now, but there's a fundamental goodness with the American people. And when we get off track, we eventually have a lot of people that say, wait a minute, this is not right. We are way off track. We got to pull back and get in the right direction again. And I think that's going to happen. So give thanks to God for your blessings, for your family, for the people who love you and care about you, and go forward. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid with what's going on around us. You have the strength, you have the ability to be positive and to just say, Lord, help us because we need it, but give thanks for what God has given us and have a blessed Thanksgiving.
Tune into Cornerstone Retirement Partners' full radio program, Your Course to Retirement, Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock at News Radio WOOD, or visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences and in webinars, and met other membership requirements, and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services.
Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes.